What do you feel pet owners should focus on more in 2022? I think that the thing that pet owners should really mostly be thinking about is long-term care. So specifically, I think the single biggest thing that you can do to keep your pets happy and healthy is feed them a fresh whole food diet that is properly balanced. Of all of the other things that you can do, trips to the vet, supplements, it all sits on a foundation of nutrition. So focusing on properly balanced fresh whole food diets for pets is really what I think everybody should focus on. A recent study showed that 68% of millennials are willing to pay more for foods customized for their pets' dietary needs. Do you see this as a net positive for pet ownership in the future? As a veterinarian, I see it as a huge net positive because what that means to me is that people are more and more invested in their pets as family members. So it's not necessarily so much about how much money somebody's going to spend as much as it is how much interest and time and effort they're willing to put in. And sometimes that's money, sometimes it's not. But anytime people are thinking more and caring more about their pets, that's always a positive. There's a lot of new protein sources I've seen in dog food lately. One company even has dog food with insect protein from the larvae of the black soldier fly. Do you think new protein sources for pet foods are a fad, or do you think they might stick around? Protein is really just a combination of amino acids. So exactly what source they came from is not always that important. I think some of this stuff is marketing and it's a fad. There are medical occasions when an unusual protein like kangaroo or something could be beneficial, but for most pets, it's absolutely not necessary. The insect thing is an interesting thing to bring up though, because when we look at the environmental impact of creating the proteins that go in, quite frankly, both pet food and human food, cows, chickens, pigs, what have you, the impact on the planet is enormous. So if we can get healthy proteins into pets using something that is less environmentally impactful, whether that's insect-based, whether that is some of these cultured proteins that are now being researched, I think that is going to be a net win for everybody. Ancient grains, including spelt and quinoa and buckwheat, are making their way into many dog foods lately. What are your thoughts about them, and should I be wary about my dog being possibly allergic? So, I think that whole grains can absolutely be healthy for dogs. Kind of just like with us, nobody should really be eating simple carbohydrates like white flour, white rice, these sorts of things. But whole grains, be they ancient grains or something else, there's a lot of good nutrition there. There's vitamins, there's minerals, there's fiber, there's a certain amount of carbohydrates. So all of that can be really good for dogs as long as it is in an appropriate proportion. For example, dry dog foods have way too many carbohydrates in them, regardless of what the carbohydrate source is. But the right amount of carbohydrates and the right kind of carbohydrate can be very beneficial for our dogs. And to the question about the possibly being allergic, any individual can have a negative reaction to anything food-wise. But generally speaking, there's nothing there that worries me about them specifically being a problem. Online shopping for pet food has almost become the norm lately. What are your thoughts about the options available to pet owners today online? Online shopping is a great thing. I'm an online shopper. Anything that keeps me out of actually having to go to a store is usually a good thing in my day. There are a lot of really good options out there now as it pertains to pet foods. There's all kinds of fresh whole food diets out there. There's cooked food, raw food, freeze-dried food, dehydrated food, etc. As with everything else that you buy online, it does require us as the consumer to do our due diligence to make sure that what we're buying is the right thing for our pet. But from the standpoint of convenience, you can't beat it.